Hello and welcome back to Senn TV. I'm your host, Maryan Abdi.
And I'm Philip Johnson White. Let's start today's show with some school news.
After the election, I was surprised. I definitely thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. It seemed to me that there was a lot more hatred and a lot more division in this country than I could have ever guessed.
Dear my fellow African Americans. Dear top 1%.
Dear undocumented immigrants.
Dear Muslims. Dear white men.
Dear undocumented immigrants.
We must understand the differences between this dividing nation. And the United States was founded and formulated based upon racism, but let's not let Trump carry on his legacy.
American people have discriminated the other just because they weren't born in America or just because they have different ethnicities.
You're the one who determines who you are and not someone who generalizes you as a race.
And we are all hybrids of many different things, and we all think in different ways. And if we put all of our knowledge together, something beautiful would blossom.
Senn is an extremely diverse place. There are students of all different ethnic backgrounds, of different religions, but also of different political views. And in such a diverse place as Senn, it's important that we continue to communicate with each other and open up these channels of communication and bridge the divide.
Minorities has already gone through so much progress, but this election has definitely undermined those accomplishments.
I understand that Muslims are always accused of possession of explosives and weapons in general.
What I have learned is that everyone has their own opinion and there is no good or bad, but we just need to respect everyone and their opinion.
I also learned to be more open-minded, and that's something that all Americans need to grasp.
Actions as small as a simple hello face-to-face with a stranger will lead us to be more unified, so that tomorrow I look forward to seeing our differences and embrace our hybridity.
I'm not Muslim, but I can fight with you and stand against the rumors towards you all.
I think it's important to reach out to the other so that they understand that they're not alone and that there are good people out there that's on their side and want to help them.
They live in fear because it's okay now to be discriminated and called and basically bullied.
It's very important to reach out. Like, they're already going through enough, like the police brutality, and I just feel like it's only going to get worse by having a president that's obviously very racist.
It's like reaching out to them saying you're not alone and there's help and people will support you no matter what.
It's a challenge to really reach out to somebody on the opposite side or somebody from a different community who you don't normally communicate with. And I think that it was a powerful experience for a lot of students. Many described me feeling more unified after the letter.
Senn's new social studies course, The History of Chicago, took an exciting field trip around the city. Maricela Machuca reporting.
On Thursday, the 3rd of November, the Chicago History Department took their students on a field trip to the Chicago History Museum. Senn students and staff traveled via CTA instead of using a school bus this year. Isn't that neat?
My goal was that our students can see some of the history of our city and some of the more interesting parts of the history, and that students can actually see these things. For example, the History Museum currently has the deathbed of Abraham Lincoln. A lot of the students got to see that. They have the actual first railroad car from Chicago, things like that. I thought it was really cool for students to actually see the actual artifacts.
When I asked a student what their favorite thing at the museum was, he said,
my favorite thing was the timeline where it showed every single year a special event has happened, like the Great Fire and the Bears winning and then the White Sox winning.
During the field trip, students took a detour. What was it?
At Wrigley Field, there would be a big celebration, and that it would make sense for us to stop on the way back because it's at the Addison stop. So I figured we should do that. I mean, we were already on the red line, and I texted the other teachers and the other chaperones, and I said, guys, I'm making an executive decision. We're stopping at Wrigley Field on the way back. Kids were able to celebrate this really historic Cub World Series title, the first World Series title for the Cubs since 1908, so over 100 years. It was really amazing.
Students love the idea of taking an unexpected decision to visit the stadium.
When we all went to Wrigleyville and then we all took a good big picture and stuff, it was like pretty decent. Everybody felt good, happy. It was warm and stuff, a warm feeling. I just hope we get more field trips in this school, you feel me? Because, like, we barely have any field trips, but that was a very fun field trip, and I hope we have more. That's all I can say.
Overall, I think it was really successful. The kids gave us really good feedback, so I'd say 9 out of 10. Not perfect, but very close.
I'm sure most of the students loved this experience. I know I did. Well, anyways, this is Maricela Machuca reporting for Senn TV. See you next time.
Senn's pool is finally opened up. Congratulations to the hard work done by Principal Beck along with some help from our alderman Harry Osterman, and congrats to Todd Gross and the boys swim team for their first big win against King High School. Let's take a quick look at this girls swim team taking their first dip in the pool.
You ready? Yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 3.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to be an ace reporter? You know, your Anderson Coopers or your Scott Haleys. Symone Smith gives us behind-the-scenes glance of what it takes to be a reporter with some advice on conducting an interview.
So you may think that journalism is really hard. It's really not. Take it from a pro. I'm going to tell you the do's and don'ts on how to conduct an interview.
Hi.
Another do for an interview, make sure you explain to your interviewee why you're interviewing them. What role do they have in your project?
So what I'm going to be interviewing you about is Senn TV and the impact that's had on your life both outside of school and in it.
Okay. Make sure your facts are correct.
So I know that Senn TV is very popular here at Rickover Naval Academy. How do you think it's grown in popularity?
Wait, did you mean Senn? I don't think Rickover cares about our show.
Yeah, Senn. That's what I meant.
Yeah, Senn.
Senn High School.
So,
Nicholas Senn High School.
Yeah, not Rickover.
I don't know why you're saying Rickover. Said Senn, I'm pretty sure.
Next do of an interview. Always pay attention to your interviewee.
What does Senn TV mean to you?
Senn TV means the actual world to me. Like, I feel like if it weren't for Senn TV, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing with my life, and it wouldn't, build the confidence I do and have myself. It's preparing me for my life goals and things of the nature.
First don't of an interview. Never interrupt the interviewee. Let them speak and answer your questions.
So what is your role here at Senn TV?
So I anchor, I've done questions.
How many times have you anchored?
Like once. But I also have done question of the day. I've
What's question of the day? What do you do there? What do you ask?
Just questions that are for the day.
Interesting.
Yes. Anyways, what else do? I edit pieces, and I also just do like.
Now, when you say piece, what do you mean by piece?
Like I edit clips of videos that I've taken.
Never ask pointless questions.
Have you seen Mr. Conan's baby?
Yeah, Madison's so cute. Oh my god.
Right?
Yeah.
So what does Senn TV mean to you?
So to me, Senn TV is like a form of expression, and it's just a way that I can like write down what I want and say what I want and like show it to everyone basically. And I've definitely learned a lot of like people skills from the course. So yeah, it's taught me a lot and I really enjoy it.
It's great.
Let's move into some current events. Recently, DC Comics superhero Wonder Woman received a great honor. Kendall Jackson Jr. takes a look at the controversy surrounding the story.
On October 21st, 2016, DC comic book character Wonder Woman was appointed as a United Nations Honorary Ambassador. Celebrating her 75th anniversary this year, the induction was meant to honor the fight for gender equality and a symbol for empowering women of today and little girls of the future. But there's been a huge amount of controversy surrounding this decision, some saying the character isn't fit due to her being culturally insensitive, overtly sexualized, and of course, not real. Senn TV decided to scoop the halls and see what Senn thinks about the controversy surrounding Wonder Woman being inducted.
They're looking at her as a fictional character, and so she's been created, and so you have to ask yourself, what is the message behind what was created? And I think, both the intended message and the received message. And although the outfit is not one I would want a daughter to wear necessarily if I had one, her attributes of bravery, strength, independence, I think, are attributes that we would want not just young girls, but anybody to model.
Cool. You're Wonder Woman.
My name is Diana.
Mine's Hannah Grace.
Thank you for speaking with me, Hannah. You're not afraid of me.
Nah, I want to be you when I get big.
I would welcome your sisterhood, Hannah.
We're just over-sexualizing her appearance for no reason. It's not like a young girl is going to look at her and be like, oh, she's showing this and that, because at that point in time, like, they don't know what, like, how to sexualize things, I guess. So I feel like this whole controversy is just, it's dumb to me, I guess.
Say an object versus a person, because she's a superhero. There's just a certain way that she's kind of like set up to be, and I feel like people shouldn't kind of like destroy that image and try to put a label on her. It's just wrong.
I think that the conversation shouldn't be about how she looks. Why is it that whenever it is a woman, it automatically goes to appearance rather than merit? And that's the part that I don't like about it. Personally, I don't care how she dresses.
You! What is your problem with me?
You want the truth? You swing that sword with a smile and you scare normal people. And you dress like a whore.
I think that's a comment on our popular culture as well. Well, not just popular culture, but whether it's popular or otherwise, that we have these ways of idealizing and sexualizing of women. And so to have this conversation, I think, is a good way to become more aware of that and to hopefully move in a better direction.
The Electoral College has been a source of a lot of controversy following the election of Donald Trump for president. I investigated the story. So Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and Donald Trump won the Electoral College. So do you believe that this election was unfair, given as the people made their vote, but our old system, Electoral College, made the presidential election?
Sure. I don't know. I feel like that's a tough one. I feel like this has happened too often, especially in our recent past, that something needs to be changed. I mean, the Electoral College, I wouldn't say abandoned it entirely, because, I mean, as I understand it, it has its purposes. But it needs to be more reflective of the popular vote if we're having these elections time and again where the results in the Electoral College don't match the popular vote. Something needs to be adjusted whereby those two are more in line. I know there wasn't much of a discrepancy this election. I think it was like 200,000 votes, but that's still pretty sizable. And it seems to be happening more and more often. Yeah.
The Electoral College has been around since 1804 after its revision through the 12th Amendment. The Electoral College, many argue, is more important than the popular vote, as it has decided many presidential elections, including Al Gore losing against George Bush, and of course our recent election with Trump winning only because of the electoral vote. This has stirred up controversy as it has shown that the people made their vote, as Hillary leads by 2.5 million popular votes, but 4 electors in each state easily overruled that vote. So this raises the question, should the Electoral College be removed? Here's a clip from the Wall Street Journal illustrating why the Electoral College should be kept and why the popular vote should not be the only standalone way to vote in our new president.
Space. And people live in space, and they're spread across a great country. And so just imagine a hypothetical. It would be a very bad thing if 90% of the people voted for somebody and the Electoral College picked. But it would also be a very bad thing if 90% of the country voted for somebody in space and the election was decided in 1 or 2 or 3 places. Both of those would be bad, and that doesn't happen. If the electoral vote is close in all cases so far, then the popular vote has been close.
Now, with that covered, let's get Mr. Galligan's reaction to the election itself and how he feels the election has affected America and what he thinks Trump will be as a president henceforward.
I mean, from what I can gauge, I know that my beliefs and his beliefs are definitely pretty divergent. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it just seems as if I just don't think he's going to be a good president. I thought Hillary Clinton would win. I didn't think it was going to be a landslide, but I thought for sure she would win and probably win pretty handily. And obviously that wasn't the case. So I was shocked.
And finally, for Mr. Galligan's thoughts on whether or not we should get rid of the Electoral College, he had this to say.
So I would say don't get rid of it entirely, but maybe tweak it to be a little bit more representative of the popular vote.
So yes, the Electoral College is flawed, but many argue that with a few tweaks, the Electoral College may be fairer in the future and won't cause more controversies like this 2016 election. So therefore, Trump will remain your president unless some major changes happen in the voting recount that's happening in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan right now. This is Philip Johnson White reporting for Senn TV.
With the Republican Party controlling the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of our government, what does the future hold for the Democratic Party? Adnan Hazalik investigates.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.
Feels like the end of the world.
How do we explain how this is possible?
How did this happen? Experienced politician versus racist fake gynecologist.
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Decency lost last night, and that's what's so hurtful.
The woman who President Obama called the most qualified person ever to run for the White House couldn't break through. The question remains, who can?
So I would say the Democratic Party has a large hill to climb at the moment. There aren't the sort of pool of candidates that got popular attention in this 2016 election cycle. The Republican Party had, at one point, 12 candidates for president, and all those people got sort of time in the spotlight. The Democratic Party really threw their barrel behind Clinton.
I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it.
She's a more traditional Democratic style candidate for the party than Bernie Sanders. So perhaps there's some favoritism of the traditional over the more progressive.
I feel what came out in the email leaks regarding the DNC putting their thumb on the scales in favor of Hillary really deflated the base. So we saw much lower turnout numbers for the Democrats. There wasn't a single poll that didn't have Bernie beating Trump. And they were always by double-digit leads, 10 points being the smallest gap that I saw. So that was encouraging for Bernie supporters, and I think for liberals and progressives in general. So yeah, I think Bernie would have had a much better chance of beating Trump in terms of those poll numbers as compared with Hillary.
I think there's a strong sort of traditional America that is resistant to any sort of idea that could be even bordering on socialism. The Democratic Party really needs to find a voice, and they currently don't have one.
I think they need to put their populist champions out in front. I think they need to support Bernie Sanders as a potential leader in the Democratic caucus in the Senate, as well as Senator Warren, and people like Cory Booker, who have a strong voice and represent underserved populations like Newark and New Jersey. These are people that voters are excited about.
It seems like the Democratic Party is sort of lost and confused, and needs to find a voice and needs somebody to lead it. But ultimately, it's got to be somebody new. We need a new voice. I don't know who it is.
And now, let's take it to Philip for your daily sports report.
Hello, I'm your sports anchor, Philip Johnson White, and here's what you need to know. The boys varsity basketball team won 50-37 against Sullivan High School last night. Shout out to the player of the game, Jawan Williams, for his performance against our arch rivals. On December 6th, the girls varsity basketball team won against Foreman 32-22. Glad to see both of our teams doing well so far. And of course, let's not forget the JV girls team. They lost against Francis W. Parker in a close game 22-21. They are sure to bounce back in their next game. This has been Philip Johnson White, and I'll see you all later.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Until next time. Toots Magoots.